Howdy, folks. It's Meandering Mike in the man cave of madness. It's mid-morning-ish, and we're doing an unboxing here of The British Way. This is from GMT Games. It's the latest in the COIN series. It's actually a COIN Multipack, so it's a quad game and a coin game. There's 4 different games in there, 4 maps. I believe there's two-sided maps. Well, let's get the shrink off and figure this all out. All right, handy dandy shrink wrap removing tool. The great mysterious oyster shucker of power. +2. Very useful tool. All right. Let's see the back. I'm gonna zoom in on this corner here. It's my favorite place to start. So it shows the complexity at being only at 4. So the low part of average here for 2 players for 2 hours. So unlike coin games that are normally designed for 4 players-ish, some minor exceptions, 1 to 2 hours. Solitaire suitability 7. I think I heard that there's not an actual bot. I guess it would have to be 4. But since there's only 2 players, you're only having to, if you play solo, you're only having to play 2 sides instead of trying to do all 4 sides, figuring that all out at once. So that makes sense to have it there on the low end of high. A little bit higher than medium, however you want to call that. 7 out of a 1 through 9 scale. All right, so yes, it does say here 2 double-sided boards, event decks, and a campaign deck. So you can do a campaign. You got 4 different games in here, plus a campaign game for them. So that's like 5 games in 1 box, guys. All right. 54 wooden pieces, 8 pawns, a counter sheet, 11 player aid cards. It's a lot. Well, you got 4 games and a campaign game. So, yeah, 4 rule background booklets. Yeah, again, 4 games. So they've got special rules for each one and a campaign and background booklet. That's a lot of stuff in here. It is a relatively heavy box. All right, so what's included here in terms of, well, we'll look at it. You can see here, no, you can't see there. If I look up here, you can see part of each of the maps, or sides of maps. So Palestine, Cyprus. You can't see the title of these 2, but they're listed here. Right there. All right. So, Palestine from 45 to 47. So, this is before the formation of the State of Israel, independence in 1948. So, this is leading up to Jewish insurgent groups, resumed hostilities against the British. Mandatory Palestine. The mandate of hell. I've never heard it phrased that way. Is that a typo, or is that was actually referred to as mandatory Palestine? The Palestine mandate, mandate of Palestine. So learn something new if that's actually how it's referred to, mandatory Palestine. Malaya, 48 to 60. Communist Party has begun a campaign of sabotage strikes and armed resistance against British rule. Kenya, 52 to 56. Militant nationalists known as Mau Mau risen up in Kenya's central province. Cyprus, 55 through 59. National Organization of Cypriot Fighters. Guerrilla fighter veteran General Grievous. The Enosis, union with Greek. All right, so let's open this box, get inside. All right, let's see if this is a easy slider. I'm out. There we go. Not too bad. All right, now if we put this back here, I'm going to zoom out a little bit first. So, campaign booklet. All right, here, I better zoom out more so you can get the overall gist here. I'm not sure how well you can read that. It says up to 28, but I bet it's up to 32. No, it is actually 28. So that's normally you have sizes like 16, 24, 32. They usually go 8 increments of 8, but this is a 28-page book. All right. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time looking at this because the campaign game is sort of the end game, as they would say in many online games. End game play. After you've mastered the 4 individual ones, I have some friends that they always, back in the day when we played, they wanted to jump straight to any campaign game. I'm like, let's learn the bits first. I want to know what I'm doing. So there's Palestine, 45 to 47. So 24-pager. Yes, 24-page. The very nice map on the back. They actually call it the setup diagram. So I guess number of starting cubes and discs and such that you get. All right. Various force pools there. Available forces, Irgun and British. Haganah track. All right. We've got really good, it has a key terms index. That's like 2 pages worth. Setup instructions. A strategy guide. If you notice I'm going backwards. Very often I'll go backwards. Sometimes my way that I read a rules is I start from the beginning, and somewhere along the line where I get confused or my eyes start going or get tired, then I go to the back of the rules and start reading forward. And then either I'll met where I've met before, or I'll do the same thing where I'll get to something I don't understand or get a little tired and I want to change the pace, and then I'll go back to where I left off going forward, and I eventually work my way through. Now these look to be relatively short. If that's the victory conditions there on page 9, rule 7, victory, rule 7. And an example of play starts here on page 10. So we have, I'll go from the forward. For stepping through. So introduction is actually a catch-all for general course of play components, map, the force description. So we can see for this one, British troops and police. So the army's wearing the khaki and the police have blue. Ergon, underground, active, arms cache. Always wondered how expensive it is to have these octagonal cylinders made compared to cubes and discs. Is it substantially more expensive or not? All right. There's faction, intel, chits, and arms cache, sabotage, terror, political. So there's quite a few things covered in that introduction section. That's a whole 3 pages of introduction. So, I'm not sure if I would label it introduction if you're actually going to have that many 10 sub rules. But then jumping into the sequence of play, setup, start, initiative, track. Options eligible, propaganda cards, operation. Now I'm not going to look through all these rule books for these. Look at one in detail and then the less probably just look through, well, probably the back, though, where if they all have the same setup map on the back. Operations, special activities, propaganda round, events, and victory. Political will. Ergon wins if British political will is at 0. That's pretty standard insurgency type victory condition. Reduce the enemy's will to continue. If the Ergon has not won at the end of the political will phase and the final propaganda round. So there's a certain number of propaganda rounds. I'm not readily seeing it, but that's okay. So there was an example of play, as we mentioned, that started on page 10. Nice illustrated, detailed, zoomed in photos. Quite extensive here. All right, so that page 13. So that's 4 pages total of example of play. That looks good. Event tips and backgrounds. Interesting. Okay, so they've got, the historical background behind the events in the card decks, but also some tips about them. Tip: to perform sabotage with the shaded text, Ergun would as usual require an underground cell in the selected space. Arrest moderate leaders. All right, so I am going to set this rubric aside. And so there's Cyprus, 55 to 59. Oh, sideways. British. Yeah, we learned police and army troops. Well, it's not necessarily army, it's troops. There. There could be marine units there. All right. Very nice and simple, self-contained. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 areas with 2 urban areas. How much did Palestine have? Egypt is out of play, and Transjordan. Across the Jordan River, Transjordan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6 in-play areas with 3 urban areas. So that was actually smaller. It looked bigger, but so no. I don't think there's going to be. You'd have to dig in. Same format. Example even starts on the same page 10. Victory, propaganda round, events. So special activities. Okay, so operations. Under operations, those are going to be different. Some of the details in the introductory section can be different. But for the most part, this should all be the same-ish. Malaya. 1948 to 1960. All right, that's a vertical one. All right, Singapore out of play, Indonesia out of play, the Malay Peninsula. Even Thailand is actually in play. Interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Getting bigger with 3 urban areas. So yeah, it's, I guess, if that's the order that they're stacked in here in the order of difficulty, Palestine. Well, Palestine actually had an extra area, but maybe the overall rules are simpler. I don't know. But now we're getting up there to 48 to 60. Big piles of cubes. So you'd have to look in the details to see, what forces the insurgents are, because that's not mentioned here on the back. Operations, MCP. Alrighty, so one of my pet peeves. So, you know, when you use an acronym, you're supposed to spell it out and then show you the acronym, and then you can use the acronym freely. However, you are supposed to, like in each section or major chapter or whatever, repeat that. You're not supposed to assume. Okay, Malaya Communist Party, MCP. So technically, like in section 1, the first time you use it, you do that. Section 2, if you use that abbreviation again, the first time you should repeat and remind people, oh, MCP stands for Malayan Communist Party. That's, I mean, I worked on a master's degree in counseling psychology, and we had to use the the American Psychological Association format, blah, 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 and all the different highfalutin, high-end academic standard stuff. That's just good for good technical writing. You know, rule books are a form of technical writing that you should, you know, not every subparagraph, but every section you should, if you're going to use that acronym again, go ahead the first time, spell it out. That's just a minor pet peeve of mine. I'm not going to give them too much grief over that. All right, let's move on. Kenya, 5256. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But only one here. Mount Kenya, Rift Valley, Thompson's Falls. All right, that's looking good. The Mau Mau, I remember that. There's something interesting going on here with this track. There's like a darker red, a lighter red, a little tiny light green, light blue, and dark blue. What does all that mean? So this one, bigger, got some special stuff going on. Again, yeah, 24. So yeah. So the campaign book was 28, and all the other ones were 24 pages. Setup instructions, key terms index, strategy guide, event cards, tips. 32, 40. Yep, 4 pages of examples of play. Very formulaic, eh? But that's okay. Kikuyu resistance. Mau Mau contained? Question mark. Events. Mau Mau special activities. Supply, oath, or raid. All right. Rally and march. Terror. Naughty, naughty terrorists. All right. So, oh, this looks like the huge stack of, yes, the huge stack of player aid cards. So there was 11, right? So my guess, okay, so there's the campaign, End of Empire campaign, and then there should be 2 cards for each other scenario, because 1 for each player, right? Kenya. Well, Palestine. All right, here's Palestine and Palestine. So they're not, wait a minute. What? Wait, what? Why would I have 3? Kenya. Oh, all right. There's 2 for Malaya, 2 for Cyprus. MCP operations, British operations. So they're identical on both sides. So you can grab either one. MCP operations on one side, British operation on the other. Ioka, Cyprus. Ioka. I didn't take the time to look at that. All right. So, but why? Airgun operations, British operations, special propaganda round. Okay, wait, that's, wait. That's 2 sides. This is 1 for Palestine, 1 for Malaya. Kenya. Okay, there's the 2 operations. So, 8 typical player aid cards for operations, 2 for each of the games, and then double-sided propaganda rounds. So we have Cyprus and Malaya, and Kenya and Palestine. All right, so 8, 9, 10, 11. There they go. Mystery solved. All right. So technically, each game gets 2.5 player aids, and then 1 for the campaign. All right, so looking at this campaign real quick, we can see our Kenya, our Palestine, our Malaya, and our Cyprus areas. Then there's also Canal Zone Egypt, India, Burma. I believe this is pronounced Nyasaland. Nyasaland, yeah. Which became later renamed as Malawi upon independence in the Gold Coast. Shows the protectorate, showing the year of independence, colony, Commonwealth Dominion, all that cool stuff. All right. So Australia, South Africa. All right. And what's on the back of that? Pre-war options tables. Labor unrest in Malaya, Jewish agency in Palestine, Nairobi, repression in Kenya, and Ioka. Now again, what does Ioka stand for? You didn't put it on your card. There's plenty of room to fit it in there somewhere. All right. Let's continue on and look at the counters. Everyone else look at the counters. Yes, they are pre-rounded corners. They have tiniest of side nibs, which don't look they're going to cause a problem, I hope. The kind that once you punch it out, you might just run your fingernail over it and you can probably remove any sticking out little nub. These guys are going to have tiny corner ones. So these ones will need to potentially, for those that do it, clip their counters. These bigger ones will not need to have the corners clipped. And I highly recommend using the Oregon Laminations corner rounders if you are a counter clipper. Don't use nail clippers unless you are so fastidious you know how to get it exact, because there's nothing worse than a square counter that gets turned into a stop sign because people clip the corners too much. All right, so there are counters. One counter sheet, double-sided. That looks to be nice center. They've got lots of bleed over it. I don't know if you can see it here where the line is, but all these rounded ones that are, they kept enough space in between to have bleed, so they looked well centered. I mean, even if you put bleed, if you don't center them well, you can chop off something important. Well, these are, you just have the bleed around the set of smaller square. Those are your typical half-inch, tiny counters. Just say no, bigger counters, please. All right, so we don't really need to look at the maps because we sort of saw them. I'll look at one. We'll open up at least one. All right. To verify that they're indeed double-sided. Wouldn't that be? You open it up. I'm going to move this back a little bit. And what? There's no backside. It's not. All right. Just a two-folder. Pretty much what we saw. Oop, donk. A little tiny bit of back bend. Fort Hall. It doesn't look like it's gonna glare much, so it's a smooth finish, but it's not too glossy, which is bad for filming if you do playthroughs and how to plays and such. So maps. We're at 27 minutes, ticking forward. I suppose we can take a peek at two dice, red and blue. Because, red and blue often are our side, their side, red, blue is us. Oops. So there's the khaki and the blue, the police, British troops. We didn't pay. I saw those in a couple of things. There's some crown markers. Those might have to do with the political will, I'm assuming. There's some black and white pawns to move along various tracks and such. For a game of this size, it's not a lot of cubes, so I'm assuming that there's not enough cubes to have all four games set up and going. Well, obviously you couldn't play all four at once because they're double-sided maps. You could technically play two games at once, but I'm not sure there's going to be enough of these to fully have everything going at once. So I admit to having sometimes multiple tables set up with games going at the same time. So you never know. Let me know in the comments if you do. Have you ever had more than one game set up and being played at the same time? Let me know in the comments. Say yes, Meandering Mike. I am a multi-game player. I have 3 set up or whatever. All right, so can I get in here? Is it going to catch? See, the disadvantage of oyster shucker is it doesn't stab me, but sometimes it doesn't cooperate. Wow. Well, if I can't get into it easily without... Yeah, I don't have a sharper thing with me at the moment. You want to see some cards, I can tell. There we go. Sometimes we just gotta get creative and stretch and twist. All right, so I'm expecting there to be cards for each game. good. They have nice, distinct backs. Different color, making it easier to keep them sorted. And I will, of course, as usual, and I do not have stock in the company that makes Plastibands, but the brand called Conserve, they're made of actual plastic, not rubber bands. That's what I use to put around my boxes. I've got the bigger Plastibands. The smaller ones are great for card decks. They've come in a variety of sizes. I usually get a whole bunch of the, what are they, 4 1/4 inch size that I use to put around the whole game boxes. And then I get the variety pack that has various little, 1, 1.5, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 6-inch bands. So this End of Empire was the campaign game. It looks very thin deck. There might be some in here too. Ah, there it is. Nya Zealand. Straight, yes. Well, am I really going to try to get this one open too? For you, the struggles that I go for, dear viewers. And they're all like falling asleep, saying, Meandering Mike, this is boring. Ouch. Well, you've seen cards before. I'll get that open. So, New Villages. Minuan. Obviously a leader in one of the movements. Leaflets. Chinese Squatters. MPAJA Legacy. Well, I'm assuming anti-Japanese force, or... All right. Chinpeng. So we can hold that up a little better so you can see the angle. Trade unions. MNLA. Don't like it. Every single one of these abbreviations. There's plenty of room on this card. Please, please. Patankali. Gurney killed. Chemical defoliants. Wow, they were using that early. I mean, the first I heard of it was, in Vietnam, Agent Orange and all that stuff. But what was the Malay time frame here? Wasn't it like up to 56? Maybe it was up to 60, but still, that's... Oh, of course, it's the bottom one. No, where does it go? There we are. 48 to 60, yeah. All right. When I please. Korean War. Yeah, well, yeah, we're smack dab. And he started in 48. Korean War's there. So I wonder what they do to, order the deck, have it in phases. Because some of these, they don't have a date on these cards. But I'm assuming they're going to be broken into 2, 3, 4 periods. Nationalist parties, New Directions, British government. So according to this, there are 35 M1 through M35 for the Malaya deck. The Palestine deck is also 35. The Exodus Affair. If you ever seen it, it's good, very good movie. Very good movie. Good soundtrack too. Good score. King David Hotel. Illegal immigration. Monty. Yeah, this is just a couple of few years after World War II. Well, yeah, so the independence. So this is all within 2 years after the end of World War II. Alan Cunningham, another British general. United Resistance Movement, Jewish Agency, road mines. Sergeant's Affair. Menachem Begin. Wow, a very young-looking Menachem Begin. I grew up seeing him on TV, bald. Not me, him. CID. Curfews. Roy Farron. I am not familiar with Roy Farron. Undercover police, controversial killings. All right, so Dove Gruner, weapon factories. There, three propaganda. Political will step. So about 12 cards if you split them up into 3 decks with the propaganda in each. Oh, those are so there's 32. So no. See, yeah, obviously they wouldn't be all together, so they'd be mixed in. But I don't know. I do not know. Well, folks, that was Meandering Mike, Man Cave of Madness, looking at The British Way. We'll zoom in, or normal zoom. GMT game again. It's a coin game, coin light, you would say. 2 players. Still rated as high solitaire suitability, as we saw on the back of the box here. High-ish, high-end, 7. The low of the high-end. Yeah, I didn't see anything in there about a bot. There was no cards for bots. There was the 11 player aids. 2, 1 for each player for each of the 4 games. That's 8. 2 double-sided ones. So that was what the propaganda, 1 on each side. So that was 2 more. And then the final one was the campaign card with a nice, actually, campaign map on it, which is not visible here on the back of the box. So, if you're at all interested in British history, British colonialism, the end of British colonialism, this was the British way, but boy, some nasty conflicts. Sometimes, of course, you've got the whole Gandhi game sitting over there. I don't know if you play the campaign game. Hey, let's go over and play a whole game of Gandhi there if we're gonna bring India into it. Yeah, so a lot of history in here to learn. So, for those of you that are interested, this has just come out recently on the P500. Of course, now it's not available at the P500 price anymore, but you can order it direct from GMT, or you can get it from various sellers, usually at reasonable prices when they've just come out. So we're going to call it there, folks. I need to get these things back in the box, but you don't need to see all of that. I will get around to opening those other cards and putting these all in their individual plastic bands. Keep each deck separate, not using rubber bands, naughty rubber bands. So I am going to get back to my playthrough of Der Weltkrieg. If any of you have been following that along, I'm going to do some other unboxings this week. I don't know if you've see here, this one's saying, hey, me. I'll probably do that one next. Right there. And then maybe this one. And this is a re-release of the old Avalon Hill one. So I've got over this way old copy of 1914. I want to compare the maps, see how the maps have changed. I'm not going to do a total side-by-side comparison, but this one's a totally new thing. And yes, it's stated that this does not reflect any current political reality at all or anything like that. It's supposed to be a for a fun game. Don't take it too seriously. Don't get bent out of shape and think it's a call to arms or anything like that. So, all right. So anyway, Meandering Mike, Man Cave of Madness, signing off now. That was The British Way. We're almost marching on 40 minutes. So to all you good folks out there, take care and do it your way. Ciao.